Донбасса вся веселуха там была.
Смотри, вот если они станут гражданами, файно.
Сейчас делают, в 2018 году стали делать, сейчас будут делать грин-карты, это ж вообще. Вся чуркобесия, все эти грин-карты будут. Это вообще
Я
будет
тебя
формат.
спрашиваю, ты теперь, когда они...
What is your full name?
Diana Oife. My maiden name. Diana Zavalkov is my married name.
When were you born?
April 27, 1974.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Odessa, Ukraine.
What was your childhood like?
It was pretty happy childhood. I was growing up in a family, a working class family of two. There was two children, my older sister and I, and we had pretty normal, busy, my mother, childhood, schools, playing, activities, nothing unusual. My father was a mechanic and my mom was a teacher.
What is your full name?
My name is Leonid Zavalkov.
When were you born?
In 1971 in Soviet Union.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a pretty good sized town in Ukraine called Odessa. It's on the Black Sea.
What was your childhood like?
Well, my childhood was very interesting. When I was growing up, everybody had to do a lot of stuff, especially going to school. You know, they used to send us to the camps where we had to work during the summer, actually on the collective farms. I started working when I was 14 years old, and that was normal for a lot of kids growing up in former Soviet Union. We used to go to school 6 days a week, you know, and used to kind of do the work for free for the government in a lot of cases. But on the other hand, everything government paid for a lot of stuff, especially sports. There was no cost for that. The cost of living was very low. The apartments, the produce, everything, but it was hard to get.
What is your full name?
My full name is Lev Zavalkov, and I was born in 1947, April 9. I was born in Stalingrad. That was a part of Soviet Union. And then I was 5 years old, and I moved to small little city by the border of the Poland, because my father was an officer in Soviet army, and they transferred him from the Stalingrad to a small city. Then I grew up there.
What was your childhood like?
Now, childhood was like every single Russian boy's. I went to school. I was 6 years old, and first of all, there was only boys' school. We were separate, girls and boys. And then probably when I was in third grade, they were we go to school together with the girls. And that was simple. We were in school, after school, just a homework, then play out of house. We did not have a computer, we did not have a phone, so we spent our life just to play soccer, play volleyball, play same like a rugby and handball. That was our childhood. We have no problem to go to gym. That was normal childhood.
Can you describe the Soviet Union for me and how daily life was like?
I tried to go with my life after I finished I finished college. So I finished college, then I went to working as a chief of mechanic on small plant, and then I went to Soviet Army for 1 year, and I went back to Odessa, where I grew up, and then start working from one plant to another plant. And I was engineer in a big factory. We did it, my last job in that factory, we did it some kind of refrigerating equipment for the Russian big submarine. Then I went to another plant which I spent 14 years working as a manager of a big steel construction shop. And then I went to took position of manager of big shop in military plant. And then I became a chief of mechanic of big military plant. But life was normal. I mean, we have, I just built my family. I got my 2 kids, and by my job I was traveling all Soviet Union to get some kind of supplies for my plant. And also I play volleyball for the college, then for minor league. I became referee, like over here, like rank was junior national referee. We did it so many international tournaments, and altogether life was for me was normal, because I was in a position of big military plant. I was number 4 in the plant, and just I did not have really some kind of problem of working. I don't have a problem with the volleyball, I don't have a problem with the, but all of a sudden the country politically start to go nowhere, especially middle of 80s. It's like 1982, 1983, 1984, 1985.
What happened in your area when the Soviet Union became separated?
In 1985, when Gorbachev took power, I was working in that time in big military plant, but I was manager of shop. Under my command was around probably 200 women and girls, which built some kind of details, radio details, all kind of supplies for Aerojet fighter. And I saw before the people which working with me staying on the line before they go for work. It's like a food stamps to get some kind of food for the household. It was biggest, richest country in the world, and there is empty shelves in the store. We have to go someplace like Moscow or Kiev and get some kind of supplies of food. There was a country was taking separate slowly down, because there was like government of Soviet Union. They want to rebuild the country, but basic of what they want to get more independent to republic. But this is one biggest mistake, to get Soviet Union to be separated, because there is an economy link in between republic. There is a politically links in between republics. So to breaking that link, it was impossible. Only one simple, when I took another job in big military plant, I was a chief of mechanic, we need some kind of small motors for our biggest equipment, which we bought from Italy, we bought from Germany, and that one motor can only supply one plant in Armenia. Armenia, there was also republic from former Soviet Union. So we have to go there to buy this as well, to buy this small motor. It's not like you call over the phone and they right away supply. No, we have to go through the some kind of center of supply and buy from them, which is for us, there was like out of our mind. And politically, they want to get independent from the central government, which is mistake, because country should be united, country should be unified. And that was from 1985 up to 1990. Then the power was switched from Gorbachev to Yeltsin, and he wanted to build Russia as a center and take care of former Soviet Union, and build like three biggest country: Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus. But there is not working like this one. They want to build capitalism system instead of modify somehow socialism.
What was the government situation in Ukraine during your time living there?
Well, at that time, when I was living in the former Soviet Union, it was a Soviet Union. It was not really Ukraine. Ukraine was just part of it. There was basically, it was kind of like the United States, where you had 15 separate republics go under one big umbrella called Soviet Union. Actually, Soviet Union is, the real name is Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. That's what, so Ukraine was one of the republics. The only difference was from United States, all the republics in the former Soviet Union was held by power by Russia, and actually all the republics had their own separate language, which Russia made them speak Russian to all the republics, and some republics were very, very different from Russian. Ukrainian language was taught in schools at that time, but the actual government language was Russian. So everywhere you would go, to the bank, to the post office, in school, the main language was Russian, the second language was Ukrainian. And so all the government was pro-Russian. Everything was done, to benefit Russia.
For all the time you lived in Ukraine, in your daily lifestyle, did you notice any improvements, advancements, or new technologies?
Let's make it simple. On the territory of Ukraine, and there was a city of Zaporozhye. There is a biggest plant, they call him South Machinery Plant. They built a power for the, they built motor for the space shuttle, they built motor for rockets, they built all motor for the military, or they built motors for the aerojet, same like AN-12, the biggest plant, the biggest plane in the world. It's similar for Hercules. And there is the biggest improvement for Ukrainian people. And also we have in city of Odessa, when I grew up, actually our plant was military plant. We have really good equipment, which some of them we bought from foreign country, some of them we built inside the Ukraine to, you know, to increase our production. Also, when I was working for refrigerating plant, there is so many equipment we built inside the Ukraine. We did not buy it. We did not supply it from anywhere, because we have a really good relationship in between economy relationship between plants of the former Soviet Union, and when they need something, we right away get from the central government, and central government give it to Ukrainian plant or wherever they like it, wherever they want to. So, and I saw so many improvements, so many advancement to in my life when I live in Ukraine. Then we were there 7 years ago. 2010 we went back to my city, Odessa, when we grew up, and then my two sons grew up, and then we went to Lvov. It's close to the border of Poland, and then we went to a small city where is my father grave. That city had 11 coal miners. 11 coal miners. Right now working only one. Only one. 10 coal miners, they were closed. Now, what about people which live there? They have no job, they have no opportunity to go someplace, because people which working in coal miner are really hard working, and then change their lifestyle. I don't think this is a good idea for that people. So what they did it, they go, you know, just working on some kind of agriculture farm or something else. But the problem is there was in that small city which had 11 coal miners, there was all around, they built like infrastructure. I mean, yeah, they built around coal miners. So there was metallurgical plant, there was equipment plant. Then now they all closed. They all closed. There was the biggest mistake which made after Soviet Union was separated for 16 republic. Okay.
How do your observations of the government in Ukraine today compare to the government that was in power when you were there?
Well, back in those days, everything was basically Soviet government, where, you know, it was part of it. Right now, it's Ukrainian government that came to power, is basically looking to separate Ukraine and get them closer to European Union, enter the European Union. And of course, Russian, former Soviet and Russian government now is completely against it. So, you know, that's why there's you know, big discrepancies going on right now about it.
Can you describe Chernobyl for me?
Well, it's very interesting. Chernobyl, when it happened in 1986, I remember it well because that was right after my grandfather passed away. It was just a day after it happened. When Chernobyl happened, the accident, basically the government decided not to tell anybody about it and kind of do what they always did at that time, you know, kind of fix whatever needs to be fixed. But in that situation, it was very hard to contain all the radioactive material that went into the air. So what happens is, since it happened in the very end of April, it was a Labor Day in former Soviet Union, which is on May 1st, and that was the worst part of it, because during the Labor Day there was a lot of people going on the street, a lot of people going out, celebrating, instead of sitting at home and kind of protect themselves from radiation. And the only way it came out actually is because a lot of radiation went towards Finland, and where they start complaining and saying, well, our level of radiation is high, and that way they had to come out and say, yes, we had an accident, it was in Chernobyl, and they didn't even say it at first how bad it was, because people was dying right next to the reactor, going straight into it, trying to put out the fire. And it was very bad at the time, and all these people came out. I was lucky. In Odessa, we were about 400 miles away from Chernobyl, and the radiation was going different way from us, but we still had a little bit higher level than normal, but it wasn't as bad as, let's say, radiation in Kiev or radiation in Belarus, where most of it kind of went after the accident. And actually, a lot of people don't realize it, but up until this day, it affects a very large population in Belarus and Ukraine, since a lot of those kids, when they were kids during the Chernobyl, near the accident, now when they have their own kids, they have a lot of problems. They had health issues, they had deformities, everything is not very good as far as you know, what really happened there. And you know, I was living in that time there, and I know how the news went, and it was a big delay between, you know, when the accident happened and actually the government came out and said, yes, we did have an accident. It was about a week that people didn't even know about it. But you know, kind of time fixes itself. It's been a long time since then, and you know, it's certainly getting better, but still effects of this radiation is still unknown how long and how far it's gonna go.
What is the story of Crimea, and how has that influenced your thinking about the country you grew up in?
Well, Crimea has a very interesting story. In 1950s, when Khrushchev was the Russian General Secretary, you know, we would call it here a president, he basically, as a part of Soviet Union, Crimea was part of Russia. But looking at the map, he kind of sort of said, hey, Crimea is closer to Ukraine, let it be part of Ukraine. And that's how Crimea became part of Ukraine. Now, historically, over the centuries, it was always part of Russia. So now in 50s it became part of Ukraine, but since it was Soviet Union, nobody really paid attention to it until the Cold War started, where actually Crimea was the biggest military strategic point for Russian Navy, where all the ships and submarines were stationed. Now, back to the current time when Ukraine decided to separate themselves from Soviet Union, from Russia, you know, they decide to go to European Union. What happens is Russia basically came out and said, well, we want the Crimea back. And kind of went in a fast route and put it to vote. And since there's a huge Russian population in Crimea, they voted to go with Russia instead of being still part of Ukraine. And it was a big thing for Russia to actually get Crimea because of the military and because of the Navy. Because for the past, since Ukraine became a separate country in '92, there was kind of, Russia was basically leasing it, the military port, from Ukraine. Now, you know, with all this things going on with Ukraine separating and the government chaos and everything else, Russia took quick advantage of it and basically took Crimea.
Why are Ukrainian people protesting?
Well, Ukrainian people, what happened in recently in recent events, the government basically said, and that was back in 2013, the government said that we're gonna go in and try to join European Union, and that's what apparently Ukrainian people wanted it. The issue was that being border with Russia, of course Russia don't want this to happen. Russia wants Ukraine to be friends with Russia and not to be in the European Union, since Russia is always against NATO and European Union. So it came in to the differences between, okay, this is our people, pretty much a lot of people speak the same language, why do you want to get separated? So they persuade Ukrainian government back in the power to go instead of European with Russia. Now, the people didn't like that. That's when Orange Revolution started. That's what all the clashes started in Kiev, where eventually end up with the government being gone. Basically, the president of Ukraine running away. And when the new government came, they basically said, okay, we're going to join the European Union. Now we're against Russia. The biggest problem was, and still is in Ukraine, there's a huge Russian population. There's a lot of people that speak Russian that grew up being, supporters of Russia, of the former Soviet government. And there is a new generation of people that are very pro-Ukrainian. So that's where the clashes is always going to be there. It's pretty much civil war going on right now, especially in the hot points like Lugansk, like Donbass, where really the towns are very divided and the people just angry. There's not enough food, there's not enough work, and for them to go out and just to fight each other is pretty much way out for them to show their disagreements.
Do you think the media has obscured people's view of Ukraine?
Well, the media is very interesting. Being now here and looking at American news and then watching Russian news, watching Ukrainian news, and talking to people that actually live in Ukraine, to relatives and friends that's still there, everybody have different view on things, and it's very hard to understand the real truth. Since everybody have their own interest in this. Of course, United States have an interest in Ukraine. Ukraine have an interest in European Union. So they, it's hard to understand who's really telling the truth. Russia, of course, has its own interest, so they news saying something else. The people who live there is also very divided, because some of my friends are pro-Russian, some of my friends are pro-Ukrainian. So it's very, very hard right now to understand what's going on and the real truth until the situation is going to stabilize a little bit more than what it is now in Ukraine.
Do you think if the conflicts in Ukraine continue and increase, could this possibly be the start of a second Cold War or even World War III?
Well, in my opinion, and this is possible, because as soon as 2013, and there was we call it Maidan. I'm not saying there was a revolution. There was a protest, people protesting against present government. There was a president of Ukraine, there was Yanukovych, and they want to get more freedom from Russia, they want to go to Europe and join unified Europe. That was the biggest mistake of Ukrainian people. I'm thinking then finally they changed president. Poroshenko took power, and he promised to get people to unify Europe. What is it good or bad for Russia as a Ukraine close to Russian border? As soon as little bit, just look future. If Ukraine join unify Europe, right away, biggest military organization in Europe, this is a NATO. They call him North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Right away, NATO would go to Ukraine, same like happening with Baltic Republic. I don't think Russian government, especially President Putin, wants to get another military too close to his house. I don't think so. So now that would start be just a tension in between two countries. People from east of Ukraine, whereas they call them Donbas territory, whereas coal miners and metallurgical plant and all heavy industry, they just want to be independent from the Ukrainian government. They want to sell their supply to Ukraine. They want to sell their supply to Russia. Just to be normal civil people which has own decision to make. But Ukrainian government said this is our territory. The country should be united. Now, to solve that problem, by they call them normative format. What it means normative format? There is 4 countries which has to sit down on a round table and decided what the future, what the fate for the Ukrainian people, for the Ukrainian as one of the biggest republic or biggest country from former Soviet Union. It means President of Russia, Putin. This is a Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel. Now President of French, this is Macron, which was elected probably 2 weeks ago, and President of Ukraine, Poroshenko. Last year they were sitting and they did not decide anything. So what Poroshenko did, they start the war in between Ukrainian military and between Donbas territory. People just took the weapon because they wanna protect their houses. They wanna protect their plant. They wanna protect all their life. And Poroshenko and his military, they start to bombing and get all military to that divider line in between Ukrainian territory and Donbas territory. Of course, Russian, according to all media resources, of course, Russia supplies some kind of, weapon to protect, to get people to protect Donbass. But politically, it has to be decided only by sitting on a table and decided all problem politically, not by weapons. A possibility, if they not decided this question to stop the war, possibility is gonna be really conflict. Is gonna be more than Cold War. It's gonna be, might be possibility to start Third World War, because as soon as the NATO goes to the Ukrainian territory, Russian would not stay still and thinking, oh, we just make all our defense. It's not possible.